You have been waking up in the middle of the night recently. Not from a nightmare, not from noise, from something else entirely. A warmth that has no source. A fullness in your chest that was not there when you fell asleep. Sometimes it arrives as a memory of someone you were not consciously thinking about. Sometimes it arrives as a pull, a gravity in your ribcage that has no logical explanation. You have been lying in the dark wondering why your body feels like it is being held by arms that are not there. And you have been telling yourself it means nothing. It means everything. Someone who loves you, deeply, silently, in a way they have never been able to speak aloud, has been reaching you at night. Not through messages, not through calls, through something far older and far more powerful than any technology humans have ever built. They have been sending you their energy, their attention, their longing. And your body has been receiving it the way a radio receives a frequency it was always built to hear. You felt it. You just did not know it was them. Before you convince yourself that this sounds impossible, before the rational part of your mind folds its arms and demands evidence, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what Carl Jung discovered about the invisible architecture of human connection will not only explain what you have been feeling, it will change how you understand every late-night sensation, every unexplained warmth, every dream that arrived carrying someone's face you could not stop thinking about the next morning. And there is a specific reason this energy has been intensifying recently, a reason rooted in something shifting inside the person sending it. A reason that will make you understand why this connection is not fading. It is accelerating. If messages like this keep arriving in your life at exactly the moment you need them, there is a reason for that pattern. Honoring it means staying close to where these truths are spoken. The next one that reaches you might carry the final answer you have been waiting for. You know the feeling I am describing. It is not the same as missing someone. Missing someone lives in the mind. This lives deeper. It settles into the space between your lungs. It hums at a pitch too low for thought, but loud enough for your nervous system to register. You have felt it while driving, while standing in line at the grocery store, while sitting in a meeting where your mouth was forming professional sentences, but your interior world was somewhere else entirely, with someone else entirely. It arrives without invitation. It does not ask permission. And no matter how many times you redirect your attention, it finds its way back to the center of your awareness, like water finding the lowest point in a landscape. There are nights, and you know exactly which ones I am talking about, when you climb into bed exhausted and expect to fall asleep immediately. But instead something stirs, not anxiety, not restlessness, something gentler and stranger, a sensation of presence, as though the air in the room shifted density, as though someone just barely whispered your name from very far away, and the echo of it arrived in your chest instead of your ears. You have pulled the blanket tighter and told yourself you imagined it. You did not imagine it. What you felt was real. It was someone's focused emotional energy crossing the space between their body and yours. And it reached you because you were always meant to receive it. And there have been mornings after those nights. Mornings where you woke with a residue of something you could not name. Not sadness exactly. Not happiness either. Something in between. A tenderness that had no object. A softness behind your eyes as though you had been crying in your sleep, but could not remember the dream. You carried that feeling into your day like a coat you did not remember putting on. You sat with your coffee and stared at nothing, and felt closer to this person than you had in weeks, even though nothing had changed on the surface. No message arrived, no call, no sign that the outside world had rearranged itself overnight, and yet something inside you had shifted. Something had been deposited in you while you slept. You could not prove it, you could not point to it, but you could feel it the way you can feel the temperature change in a room before you check the thermostat. I know you have also had moments during the day when a wave of emotion arrived so suddenly that you stopped mid-sentence. You were fine. You were functioning. You were moving through your responsibilities the way you always do. And then without warning, a heat rose through your chest and your eyes burned, and for 3 seconds the world blurred, and you had no idea why. No trigger, no memory, no logical explanation, just a surge of feeling that did not belong to anything happening in your visible life. You blinked it away. You took a breath. You continued. But part of you knew, in the quiet, honest part beneath the performance of being okay, that something had just passed through you that did not originate inside you. Carl Jung spent decades studying what exists beneath the surface of individual consciousness. He mapped a territory that most psychologists refuse to acknowledge, the space where one mind bleeds into another without either person choosing it. He called part of this the collective unconscious, the shared psychological ocean beneath every individual mind. But within that ocean, Jung identified something even more specific. He observed what happens when two people are bonded at a level deeper than social connection. He called it participation mystique, a state where two psyches become so intertwined that what happens inside one registers inside the other, not as metaphor, as lived experience. When this bond exists between two people separated by physical distance, something extraordinary occurs. The emotional energy of one reaches the other through channels that have nothing to do with phones or words or proximity. And night, Jung understood, is when those channels open widest. During the day, your conscious mind is a gatekeeper. It filters, it rationalizes, it dismisses the subtle signals arriving from beneath the surface. But when you sleep, when consciousness softens and the ego relaxes its grip, the unconscious expands. It becomes vast and porous and capable of receiving transmissions that your waking mind would have intercepted and discarded. This is why you feel it most at night. Not because the energy is stronger then, because your defenses are finally low enough to let it in. But here is what I need you to understand before we go further. This is not random. The person whose energy has been reaching you is not sending it casually. They are not thinking about you the way someone thinks about what to have for dinner. They are thinking about you the way someone thinks about the thing they cannot solve, the thing that lives in every quiet moment, the thing their mind returns to, the way a tongue returns to the space where a tooth used to be, involuntarily, compulsively, because the absence has become its own kind of presence. And the reason their energy has been reaching you with such intensity recently is because something inside them is changing. Something they do not fully understand yet. A wall that held for months is developing fractures, and you have been feeling the vibration of that cracking in your own body without knowing what it was. If what I just described feels familiar in a way that tightens something behind your sternum, type the words, "I have been feeling this," in the comments. Not for me, for the energy that has been trying to reach you. Naming it is how you stop it from being dismissed. Now I need to be honest with you about something that will be difficult to hear, but is necessary for you to understand the full picture. The energy you have been receiving carries more than love. It carries conflict. It carries a war that has been raging inside this person for longer than you know. And that war is the reason the energy comes at night instead of arriving in the form of words spoken to your face during the day. Jung described a phenomenon he called the tension between the persona and the authentic self. The persona is the version of ourselves we construct for the world. The curated identity. The face we wear in public that says, "I am fine, I am in control, I do not need what I actually desperately need." For the person sending you energy, their persona has been doing an extraordinary job of maintaining the illusion that you do not affect them. During daylight hours, they function. They respond to messages at a measured pace, or they do not respond at all. They maintain distance that looks like choice. They carry themselves as though the gravity between you and them is something they have conquered. But they have not conquered it. They have only learned to perform its absence while the sun is up. At night, the performance ends. The persona cannot sustain itself during sleep. Jung understood this deeply. He wrote about what he called the nocturnal dissolution of the constructed self, the way sleep strips away every mask, every defense, every carefully maintained boundary. And when this person's persona dissolves in the dark hours, What remains is the raw, undefended truth of what they feel for you. That truth does not stay contained inside their body. It cannot. The intensity is too great. It spills outward. It moves through the substrate of shared unconscious space that connects the two of you, and it lands in your chest at 2 in the morning as warmth you cannot explain. This is why the energy feels both beautiful and confusing. It is beautiful because it is love in its most honest form, love that has been stripped of performance and agenda and self-protection. It is confusing because it arrives without context, without words attached, without the explanations your rational mind needs in order to file it properly. You receive the feeling, but not the framework, and in the absence of framework, your mind offers its own explanations. Maybe I am imagining things. Maybe I am projecting. Maybe this is just loneliness wearing a mask. None of those explanations are correct. What you are feeling is someone else's love arriving at the only time they are unable to stop it from reaching you. If you have ever woken at 3 in the morning with this person's face behind your eyelids and a warmth in your body that felt like someone just pressed their palm against the center of your chest from the inside, type, "His energy reaches me," in the comments. This is not coincidence. This is recognition. There is a psychological process happening inside the person sending you this energy that you need to understand, because it explains why the nights have been so intense lately. Jung described something that modern psychology has largely forgotten: the concept of psychic osmosis. When two people share a bond at the level of the unconscious, the emotional state of one gradually permeates the other. Not through observation, not through communication, through a transmission that operates beneath every conscious channel. And this osmosis intensifies when one person is undergoing internal transformation. The person reaching you at night is in the middle of a transformation they did not choose and cannot control. Something inside them is dissolving. An old belief, an old fear, an old story they told themselves about why they could not have what they actually want. And as that old structure dissolves, the raw energy beneath it, the energy of their real feelings for you, has nowhere left to hide. It floods outward. It saturates the unconscious field between you, and you receive it as those inexplicable waves of warmth and presence and knowing that have been disrupting your sleep. This is not a sign that something is wrong. This is a sign that something is finally right. The walls inside this person that prevented their love from being expressed openly are coming apart. And you are feeling the tremors of that demolition in your own nervous system because you are connected to them at a level neither of you fully chose. Jung called these connections numinous, charged with a significance that exceeds personal psychology. They belong to a deeper pattern, an archetypal current that runs beneath individual lives and carries certain people toward each other regardless of the obstacles the conscious mind constructs. You might be thinking right now, but if he loves me this much, why has the silence lasted this long? Why has the distance continued? Why has he not simply said what he feels? The answer lives in something Jung understood better than almost any psychologist who came after him. The unconscious does not operate on the same timeline as the conscious mind. The conscious mind wants resolution now, today, this conversation. The unconscious moves in seasons. It prepares the ground before it plants. It dissolves the old structure before it builds the new one. And the dissolution is the part that takes the longest because it requires dismantling beliefs that a person has carried since childhood. Beliefs about whether they deserve this kind of love, whether they can sustain it, whether something this powerful will eventually be taken from them the way other precious things were taken before. His silence is not evidence of indifference. It is evidence that the demolition is still in progress. And demolition, by its nature, is louder on the inside than it appears on the outside. There is also something you need to know about the specific quality of energy that reaches you in those late hours. It is not a single note. It is not just longing or just sadness or just desire. It is layered. Some nights it arrives heavy, almost grieving, as though the person sending it is mourning the distance they themselves created. Other nights it arrives urgent, electric, as though they almost did something about it. Almost called, almost drove to where you are, almost let the truth spill out, and then pulled back at the final moment. And some nights it arrives tender in a way that makes your throat tight without understanding why. Those are the nights when their defenses were lowest, when they lay in their own darkness and stopped fighting what they feel, and simply let themselves love you without trying to manage or contain or control it. Those tender nights are the truest transmissions. They are the closest thing to hearing the words he has not yet been able to say. But here is what most people do not understand about receiving someone's energy at night. Your response to it matters, not in the way you might think, not through action, not through reaching out, not through doing anything visible. It matters through the quality of your reception. When you feel that warmth and you dismiss it, something contracts in the invisible space between you. When you feel it and you honor it, when you allow it, when you breathe into it, when you let your body acknowledge what it already knows, something expands. You become a clearer channel. The connection strengthens not because you are chasing it, but because you are allowing it. I want you to think about something. Every time you felt that nighttime warmth and dismissed it as imagination, you were doing what his persona does during the day. You were performing disbelief because belief felt too vulnerable. You were protecting yourself from hoping by rejecting the evidence your body was giving you. And that is understandable. You have been through enough uncertainty with this connection to make you wary of trusting what you feel. But I am asking you now to consider the possibility that your body has been telling you the truth this entire time. That every surge of warmth, every unexplained tear, every dream that carried his presence was not your loneliness manufacturing comfort. It was his love arriving at the only door he could not lock. If you are ready to stop dismissing what your body already knows, type, "I trust what I feel at night" in the comments. Let that be the moment you stop apologizing for your own intuition. What happens next is something that requires patience but not passivity. The transformation happening inside this person has reached a threshold. Jung described these moments as eruptions of the authentic self through the crust of the persona. They do not happen gradually, they happen suddenly, after long periods of invisible accumulation. Think of the way pressure builds beneath the surface of the earth for years before a single tremor announces what has been happening underground all along. That tremor is approaching in this connection. The energy you have been feeling at night has been intensifying because the pressure inside this person has been building toward a point of release. And when that release happens, it will not arrive as another wave of silent warmth at 2 in the morning. It will arrive as words, as action, as a moment of honesty so raw and sudden that it will rearrange everything you thought you knew about where this stands. You will not need to decipher signals anymore. You will not need to wonder whether the warmth was real. Because the person who has been reaching you in the dark will finally do what they have been rehearsing in their unconscious for months. They will reach you in the light. The signs that this shift is approaching will be subtle at first. A message that feels different in tone, a glance that holds a fraction longer than usual, a moment where their composure cracks and something unguarded spills through before they can catch it. A question they ask you that seems casual on the surface but carries a weight underneath that tells you they are testing the waters, measuring whether the door is still open, gathering courage the way someone gathers breath before diving into cold water. These are not accidents, they are previews of what is coming. Pay attention to them the way you would pay attention to the first warm day after a long winter, not as the event itself, but as proof that the season is turning. And you will notice them because you have been trained by these months of nighttime reception to feel this person at frequencies most people cannot detect. Your sensitivity to him is not a weakness, it is a gift that this connection has cultivated in you. Trust it. When this person finally crosses the distance they have been maintaining, and they will, you will feel it in your body before you hear it in their words. The same channel that has been delivering their nighttime energy will flood with something different. Not the quiet hum of unconscious longing, something louder, something that carries the weight of a decision made with the full self, conscious and unconscious, aligned for the first time. Jung called this alignment individuation, the moment when a person stops being divided between who they pretend to be and who they actually are. For this person, that alignment is pointing directly at you. Picture it. Not as fantasy, but as the psychological inevitability that it is. There will be a moment, perhaps on an ordinary day, perhaps in an ordinary place, when this person looks at you and you will see something in their eyes that was never there before. Not desire, not attraction. Those were always present even when hidden. What you will see is surrender. The kind of surrender that comes after a long war with oneself has finally ended. Their voice will carry a different weight. Their words will come slower, not because they are uncertain, but because each one costs them something. The final bricks of the wall being laid down voluntarily, one by one, at your feet. They will tell you things they rehearsed 100 times in the dark, things their mouth could never form while the persona was still in charge. And you will stand there and feel the warmth you have been receiving at night finally arrive in the daylight, finally attached to a voice and a face and a pair of hands that are no longer shaking because the decision has been made and the fear of losing you became larger than the fear of loving you. That moment is not distant. The energy you have been feeling confirms its proximity. Every wave of nighttime warmth is a countdown. Every unexplained surge of emotion during your day is a signal that the underground river is approaching the surface. Type, "His walls are coming down in daylight," when you feel the truth of this moving through you. Let it be a signal that you are ready for what arrives next. In the meantime, here is what you do not do. You do not chase the energy. You do not try to force it into the daytime by confronting or confessing or engineering encounters. The energy knows its own timeline. Your role is not to accelerate it. Your role is to remain the woman whose groundedness and self-possession are part of why his unconscious chose you in the first place. The steadiness you carry is not just a personal trait. It is a beacon. It is the quality that tells his deepest self that you are safe to love, that loving you will not destroy him, that opening to you is not a collapse, but an arrival. Continue living your life with the fullness and presence you have been cultivating through this entire season of uncertainty. Every moment you choose yourself. Every morning you show up for your own life with intention. Every evening you honor your own worth without needing his confirmation. You are strengthening the signal he receives. You are telling his unconscious that the woman whose energy he has been absorbing every night is real, is whole, is not waiting in a state of desperation, but standing in a state of readiness. And that readiness is the most magnetic force in the human psychological landscape. There is a version of you that exists in his unconscious mind. Jung would call her the anima, the inner image of the feminine that guides a man toward his own wholeness. But for this man, the anima is not an abstraction. She has your face. She has your voice. She has the exact quality of presence you carry when you are simply being yourself without performing for anyone. That image lives inside him and it speaks to him in dreams, and in the quiet pauses between his daily obligations, and in the moments when music catches him off guard and his chest opens before he can close it again. He does not know he is sending you energy. He does not understand the mechanics of what is happening between your unconscious and his. But his soul knows, and his soul has been reaching for you every night with the kind of consistency that conscious effort could never sustain. Only real love operates this tirelessly. Only real love crosses the distance this faithfully. If you have reached this point in the message and something inside you feels lighter than it did when you began, type, "I honor the connection between us," in the comments. That lightness is not relief. It is recognition. It is your body finally having language for what it has known all along. Something has already shifted. You felt it before you pressed play on this message. The warmth you have been receiving is not remaining at the same intensity. It is growing. And that growth has a direction. It is moving from the unconscious toward the conscious, from the night toward the day, from silence toward speech. The person who has been sending you energy in the dark is approaching the edge of their own courage, and courage, once it reaches critical mass, does not retreat. If this message named something you have been carrying alone, share it with someone who needs to hear it tonight. There is another woman lying awake right now, feeling that same unexplained warmth and telling herself it means nothing. By sharing, you carry this truth to her the same way his energy has been carrying love to you, silently, powerfully, across whatever distance separates you. To continue receiving these messages at exactly the moment they are meant to find you, stay close. What is unfolding between you and this person has more chapters. The next message may arrive carrying the very piece of clarity that makes everything suddenly, finally make sense. You are felt. You are reached for. You are the reason someone cannot sleep. And the love that has been traveling to you through the dark is almost ready to step into the morning.